Dr. Rick Marks with Relate Well Institute, and we are going to talk about today the fundamental things you have to have a relationship with anyone. I mean, a relationship with anyone. I mean, talking about a Walmart employee, postman, neighbor, and yes, intimate relationships. That would mean spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, family, parent, child, any relationship. So we're going to think about it for a minute now. What does it take to actually have a relationship with anybody? You know, I grew up in a home where we actually had broken relationships. There was broken relationships between my dad and my biological mother. It was between my dad and my stepmother. We, all four of us kids, had a very broken relationship between us and our stepmother and us and our father. I grew up in a broken home where there was a lot of abuse and craziness, let's just say. And I've had to work hard to overcome a lot. And much of what we teach here at Relate Well Institute comes out of what I've learned, not just the fact that I have a PhD, 2 master's degrees, and those kind of things. And so what we're going to do in this Relate Well Institute moment is just talk about what does it take to have a relationship. So if you have a relationship with somebody, what would it take to have a relationship? All right. Now, I think there's going to be 3 components, 3 structures, 3 essentials you have to have, all right? So, first column is you gotta be able to communicate. You cannot have a relationship with someone if you're not willing to communicate. Now, let's be honest, not all communication actually builds a relationship. You call someone names, if you're insensitive, if in your tone, if you're derogatory, if you're stonewalling, all of that is forms of communication. That kind of communication doesn't build a relationship. So we want to think about what kind of communication does build a relationship. And to do that, I want to help you make a parallel between what takes place in the biological world, in the brain, and what takes place in the relational world. In other words, we're going to take what takes place in the brain, in the physiological world of the human body, and relate that same principle to the relationship world. Now, to do that, if you're willing to humor me for a minute, and try this when you're watching, I want you to kind of put your finger up like this and look at your finger with one eye. That's right, look at it with one eye. And as you look at your finger with one eye, be aware of everything that your brain sees, from top to bottom, left to right, that your brain sees with that one eye open. All right, so be aware of the picture. Now switch to the other eye, let it focus, and be aware of everything that your brain sees with that eye, top to bottom, left to right. You can move your eyes back and forth, and it would look like your finger's moving, but we know that it's not. Now here's a question for you. The picture your brain sees with the left eye, is that the same picture that your brain sees with the right eye? And the obvious answer is no, it isn't. In other words, what the left eye sees and what the right eye sees will never be the same. They're actually 2 different pictures. And I don't care where you turn your head, the left eye and the right eye will never see the same picture. They're just 2 different pictures. Now, put your finger back up again and look at your finger with both eyes. And if you look at your finger with both eyes, question for you is, can you actually see your left eye as you're looking at your finger? And the answer is no. You can't see your left eye, you can't see your right eye. In other words, left and right eye actually disappear, but there's something else that you get with 2 eyes you'll never have with 1 eye. Something you get with 2 eyes you'll never have with 1 eye. Now take a look at it. Can you see it? Look hard. If you picked it up, what you get with 2 eyes is depth perception. You can see in 3 dimensions. You get depth perception, but you lose depth perception with 1 eye. I find that fascinating. In other words, the brain takes in information from the left eye, and then it takes in information from the right eye. And when those 2 different forms of information come into the brain takes that information and creates a completely different picture that allows you to see in 3 dimensions, not just broadly. Same thing with hearing. If you're deaf in one ear, you can hear. If you're deaf in another ear, you can hear. But if you have both ears, you really can't tell left ear or right ear. But there's something else you get with 2 ears you won't have with 1 ear. What is that? It's simple. With 2 ears, when you hear something, your brain goes, what was that? You automatically know where the sound comes from. You get direction. I like to call it hearing in 3D. You see, if you're deaf in one ear, your brain has to go, what was that? It searches for the sound. But with 2 ears, your brain just sounds like it turns toward the sound. You can hear with 3 dimension. Same thing if you're holding an ink pen, or if you go get one. If you hold the pen up in this hand, you can get a sense of how it feels, but you can look at it and know how long it is. If you switch it to this hand, you can still look at it. Feels similar, but not the same, but you can also look at it and tell how long it is. Now, if you humor me for a minute, close your eyes. Keep your eyes closed. Now, with your eyes closed, can you actually tell how long that pen is? The answer obviously is no. Keeping your eyes closed, take the index finger of your other hand and put it on top of the pen. And as you do, now I ask, can you get a sense of how long that ink pen is? Sure you can. Turn it sideways. Can you tell which way it's pointing? The answer is yes. All right, open your eyes. Look here. When the left hand and the right hand communicate together, you'll understand the world differently, you see. Same thing with your feet. When the left feet and the right feet communicate together, you understand the world differently. When the left hand and the right hand communicate together, you understand the world differently. When the left ear and the right ear communicates together, you understand the world differently. And left eye and right eye, when they communicate together, you understand the world differently. You see, people say there's multiple realities. And in reality, that's not true. In reality, there's only one reality. I know right here, there's only one reality in my hand. And this is what you would see. This is what I would see. Now, if I was to say, what do you see on my hand, right? You would say, well, Rick, I see fingers and I see lines and, I see a ring. And I go, great. That's not what I see. Because what I see are fingers, but I see fingernails. I see a little cut on my hand. I see a scar. I see some hair and knuckles. This is what you see of one reality. This is what I see of one reality. One reality, this is the key phrase, 2 perspectives. 2 perspectives. So how can I see what you see? Most people would say, well, you just turn your hand around. The problem is you can't turn reality around. So how do I see what you see? You have to communicate to me what you see, and I have to listen, and I have to understand your perspective. And this is how relationships happen. And as I put my reality and I understand your reality, or we're going to say it this way, when 2 perspectives come together, you've now created understanding. Got it? So I'll write that down up here. When 2 perspectives come together, that equals understanding. Got it? And when you have understanding, you've just created a relationship. Relationships come when perspectives are put together, understood by each people's perspective. That creates a relationship. But let me tell you what will not create the relationship. It's agreement on perspectives. Just because you have perspective of something and I have perspective, the 2 perspectives must come together so we understand reality better. That creates a relationship. But if I say to you, well, you're right and I'm wrong, we aren't going to have a relationship, because people want to be right and wrong at the expense of relationship. You see, it kind of works this way. In every relationship, there's left eye and right eye. I'm left eye, Luell's right eye, right? And I have perspective of a dog, and Luell's a perspective of a dog. Our perspectives, by the way, are very different. And we used to argue about whose perspective is right or wrong. And then years ago, I thought, this is dumb. I need to be quiet and listen. So I said, tell me why you don't like dogs. And as I was quiet and I listened, I understood why she doesn't like dogs, the history behind it. And in that moment, I understand my reality better. No wonder she doesn't want a dog. And it was in that moment I understood, and she felt understood. And we had a relationship. But what usually happens is left eye and right eye don't want to listen to the other person's perspective. What they want to do is they want to shove their perspective, argue their perspective without hearing another person's perspective. So when 2 perspectives come together, you have understanding. And understanding creates relationship, not right or wrong. So you've got to communicate to where left eye and right eye start listening to each other honoring each other's perspective. Got it? Creates a relationship. Now, how do you practically communicate? How do you practically communicate so that the other person, the speaker, let's say, feels that I feel what they feel? Did you get that? How do you communicate so the speaker feels that I feel what they feel? You go, wait a minute, Rick, what are you talking about? Well, here's how you really create understanding in a relationship. It's in the communication, the speaker feels that the listener feels what the speaker feels. That's different than active listening skills, which is where basically right eye is saying to left eye, hey, hang on, left eye, let me make sure that I got what you said right. That's active listening. What I'm arguing is a deeper level of listening that creates understanding relationship. It's when the speaker feels, that has to do with the limbic brain, the emotional brain, when the speaker feels that the right eye feels what they feel. Got it? So when I feel that you feel when you feel that I feel what you feel, in that moment we create a relationship. Now, how do you practically do that? And it's really simple. By using 3 words. It's just, are you saying? Are you saying that you don't like a dog because when you had a dog growing up, it was always messing up the house? Yes. Are you saying that because your parents were so messed up and you had to deal with alcoholism, then you had to deal with the dog, and you were trying to parent your kid, your younger siblings, and all of that was just more problems for you? Yes. That's how you know when a person feels that you feel they feel. Because as you do, are you saying lets them know that you're listening to their perspective, which leads to the second column. The second column is basically recognition. In other words, you can't have a relationship with someone if you're not willing to recognize them. See, what usually happens is left eye doesn't want to recognize what right eye sees, but what left eye does do is recognize what left eye sees, and it's going to force a right eye to either agree or buy into. It's competition. But if I do are you saying, then all my focus is on the other person, you feel recognized, and when you feel recognized, you feel valued and appreciated. Got it? Valued and appreciated. Now we do this by just simply saying, are you saying? And are you saying is a way that the speaker will feel that you feel what they feel. Are you saying that when I did that you felt betrayed? Yes. Are you saying that when that happened you felt rejected by me? Yes. And you always know when the person feels that you feel they feel, because when they go, after you ask the are you saying, you'll hear, yes, that's it. That's what I'm saying. The energy goes up. And in that moment, their emotional brain goes, yes, you get it now. You get it now. Why? Because they feel that you feel what I feel. Did I say that right? It's because you now feel that I feel what you feel. Now, remember, don't ask me if I agree. Agreement's a very different conversation. So the first thing you got to have a relationship is communication. And you communicate by using are you saying so that the speaker feels that you feel what they feel. And when you spend your time going, are you saying, are you saying, are you saying? Because see, you're supposed to be mature enough that you don't have to push your agenda. You're supposed to be mature enough so you don't have to go push what you see. You're so mature you can put your perspective on the shelf and just be there to hear their perspective. Got it? Just about them. And when you do that, they feel valued and appreciated. And the third thing you have to have is trust. You cannot have a relationship without trust. Now, we like to define trust this way here in this model. If I could take the sentence, I trust you, and replace it with one other word. How about the word believe? I trust you, I believe you. Would that be the same? Not really, because you can believe someone and still not trust them. How about I trust you, I respect you? No, because you could trust someone and not respect them. How about this one? I trust you, I love you. You can love someone and not trust them. So what word could we use that if we replaced it with the word trust would have essentially the same meaning? And the word is actually know. I trust you, I know you. In other words, we trust people based on the way that we know them. If I know you to be late, I trust you to be late. If I know you to be on time, I trust you to be on time. If I know you to be insensitive, I trust you to be insensitive. If I know you to be controlling, I trust you to be controlling. Because see, with people, we actually trust people the way that we know them to be. You trust people based on the way that you know them. And here's the thing is, you create your own way of being known. I like to say it this way in my work. The way we think we come across is not the way we do come across. The way we think we're being experienced is not the way that we are being experienced. And what people do is they defend how they think they are, believe they are, but in the end it's how you are that actually matters. Because how you are is how people will trust you to be. And so think of it this way then. Since people know us based on the way they trust us, if I communicated so that we put two perspectives together, then we have understanding. And because you feel understood, because I use using are you saying, so now that you feel that I feel what you feel, that means I've recognized you, so you feel valued and appreciated. Then how do you know me? Well, you know me as someone who validates, who appreciates, who values you, and basically communicates with you, that I listen to you so you feel recognized, and now we've just built the relationship with a Walmart employee, with anybody. These three fundamentals. Communicate using are you saying, so that the listener, so that the speaker feels that you feel they feel. Thus you're recognizing them so they feel valued and appreciated. And then they trust you based on the way they know you. But let's be honest, we don't want a relationship with a Walmart employee the way you want with a spouse or a boy or girlfriend or children or friends. So how can we really build this on a strong foundation? Simple. What if this foundation was loving, caring, and sharing? In other words, we share together in conflict. We don't let conflict destroy us. We work together in conflict. Now think about it this way. If the foundation of who I am and how I treat you is loving, caring, and sharing. In other words, ing is similar to all three of these words, which means basically they're verbs, they're action words. So now let's put together. What if I communicated in a loving, caring, sharing way so that you feel that I feel what you feel, and I did that by saying, are you saying? Now you really feel understood, but in a loving, caring, sharing way. Thus you feel recognized, and not just valued and appreciated. You actually feel loved, cared for, and you got it? And how do you know me? You actually know me as a loving, caring, sharing person who's willing to listen to your perspective and honor your perspective and work with you to deal with whatever the issue is around this reality so that we always win. You know, fundamental to the work here at Relatable Institute is the idea of us. Us wins, you both win. Us loses, you both lose. It really is that simple. One of my favorite quotes is by Einstein: make things simple and no more simpler. I believe he's actually right. I always say that I'm a closet redneck from North Georgia. I like simple. So let's put this together. When two perspectives come together, that creates understanding. And understanding, you have a relationship. And the relationship is forged and built by communicating. So that the speaker feels, that the listener feels what the speaker feels. And they did that practically by saying, are you saying? And that means I was recognizing you, so you feel valued and appreciated. So you now trust me and know me is someone who is loving, caring, and sharing. And folks, you can soar, you can sail, you can deepen, you can have any relationship thrive. It's that simple. Think about that. This is Dr. Rick Marks with Relatable Institute. I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope it's been meaningful. And take a look at our website, relatewell.us. Maybe pick up one of the Relatewell curriculums. The Relatewell core curriculum is for anyone. It's inexpensive, but it teaches you the fundamentals of healthy relationship skills and how to bond and how to emotionally regulate. Go to relatewell.us. That's relatewell.us. And if you know more about me, go to drrickmarks.com. That's drrickmarks.com. Thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for watching. And by the way, go build loving, caring relationships.